My name is Michelle Wilson. I founded Epic Animal Recovery. We've been in business now for 7 years. This will be our 7th year. And started out because of this dog. Obviously, the business is named after her. We specialize in lost pet recovery. Animals ranging from dogs, cats. We've looked for goats. I've looked for a turtle. I've actually been asked to look for a python one time, which wasn't very excited about because it could probably eat Epic. Luckily, they found it before we had to go out, though. Epic. Enough. In the beginning, many, many moons ago, I've always done dog rescue. Always had an interest in dogs. Grew up with them. Started doing dog rescue, gosh, a long time ago. A really long time ago. I've always been really interested in rescue, and for several years, I actually did Frisbee competitions, disc dog competitions. So I had Australian Shepherds, and that was kind of my go-to for a while. And one of my other heart dog, I always say this is my heart dog, but I've been fortunate to have two in my life. But Trixie was she was my other soul dog, and she was an incredible Frisbee dog, very aggressive, very mean. And she was actually returned to the Charlotte Humane Society 4 times. And I had a friend of mine call me and say, hey, they've got this aggressive Aussie, they don't know what to do with it. So I went and got her, and I have a soft spot for red dogs. And so went and got her, turned her into a Frisbee dog. She was incredible. And we ended up going to the World Championship. Actually held a world's record for about 1.5 years with distance and accuracy. She ended up passing away, and I stopped doing Frisbee. You're going to have to cut that out, right? Hang on. So probably about 4 years later, it was longer than that, 5 or 6 years later, after Trixie passed away, is when this one came into my life. And it was in the back of my head after doing Frisbee competitions that I really wanted to look into search and rescue. But it was, not in the forefront by any means. And when this one came along, it was total kismet. It was like everything just fell into place. They're not loose, they're on leashes. Everything fell into place, and it was, if you watch her, she's just always sniffing that wind, and it's processing. And it was like something just told me that's what she's supposed to be doing. And so it went from very small find-it games to finding, lost animals and people really quickly. 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. It was amazing. I got her when she was 6 months old. She was doing full-blown searches when she was 8 months. So it was pretty crazy, pretty crazy. Come on, get to work. So because we're working into the wind like this, you might see that she's going to shortcut a little bit. Good. Good nose, girl. Find it. Yay! Good girl! Good girl, Mama! Good job, Epic! Good find! Good. I've known Mike for a couple of years now, and we met through a mutual friend, and that mutual friend actually was in the search world as well, and let me know that there was a seminar going on, and I had to get in on it because training is training. We train as much as we possibly can. Actually, this is where I first met Mike, was here at one of his seminars. So it was actually a lot of fun because me being in the pet search world, I hadn't done any human searches. So When I came here, I was a little, I'll admit, I was a little intimidated because there were deputies here and cops with their canines and, you know, people who had been training on this, and I had trained on humans too. But you know, we're known for our the pet end of it, and yeah, she's eyeballing something, and so it was really exciting to let them see what my dogs could do. You know, people have a different perspective on pet search dogs, and so it was really cool to watch everyone's reaction when I brought this little one out, and you know, and she did her stuff. So ever since then, we've kept in contact. We've become really good friends. Exciting with, you know, what he's got going on, and glad to be a part of it. So this is Epic. Epic is how old are you now? 7 years old. She's a mutt. She's been doing search since she was 6 months old. She was actually found as a stray in Charlotte, in a park on a very, very cold night. And a friend of mine had found her and asked me if I could help place her in a home. And obviously she found the best home possible, which is with me. Right, Mama? Come here. Up. Seeker is my other search dog. Seeker is a 2-year-old Dutch Shepherd. She'll actually be 3 next month. And she gave me a run for my money. You know, I brought her here as well, and she didn't want to work, didn't want any part of it. And when Mike said that he had never seen a Dutch Shepherd that didn't want to work, that put a fire underneath me. So we actually used Epic to help Seeker gain some confidence in what she was supposed to be doing. And after I put Epic out and ran Seeker behind Epic, and Seeker saw, oh yeah, I want to be doing what my sister's doing. Ever since then, she's been amazing. I mean, she's really come a long way. So she's a lot of fun to work with. She's different, definitely different to handle than this little one. She's a lot bigger and stronger. When the animal stays in one place, even a human, long enough, they create a scent pool, which means there's more scent in that one spot than the other areas. Good. Yes, good girl. What she's doing right now is trying to figure out the scent because she lost it right through there. So when you see her getting squirrely, she works a little bit different than the other dog. Again, that's going back to just knowing your dogs. Right now, she's not on scent. Get to work. But the whole thing is just letting her figure it out. Seeks. Good nose, girl. And so you can see the difference in her body language now that she's back on scent as opposed to not. Good. Love it, girl. Good job. Good nose. Good nose, girl. No. Sits. Good job, Deeks. Ziva is a 6-year-old Belgian Malinois. She is a retired police canine that I actually got from Mike. Heard about her, I guess we were just randomly talking one day, and it was one of those situations where she ended up with him because her handler passed away. She had been retired when she was 2 years old due to losing a back leg. They amputated a hind leg because of cancer. And so obviously the police, law enforcement retired her. And when I heard about her and that she was with Mike, I don't know, it was just one of those things, you know, that I hadn't even met her and I knew that I was supposed to have her. I mean, it was just kind of all there was to it. And I knew law enforcement wouldn't work her, and she's a good dog. And so I decided to get her and make her a search dog. After working her on human remains detection, she did great, did an incredible job. Unfortunately, it just took its toll on her hind end, and I noticed that she would just tire out pretty easily. You know, having to put all that weight on her hind legs and working different terrain. I actually took her to the body farm up at Western. and worked her up there at Western Carolina University. They have a body farm where they'll have seminars and take you into the body farm and then imprint your dog on the cadaver scent. And so I took her up there, and that's when I really realized that she probably wouldn't be able to do it, just because of the mountainous terrain and different areas that we would need to be able to work in. And so now she's Seeker's nanny. That's going to be her full-time, which is a full-time job. It's taking care of the other dogs. So, but Ziva is exactly where she's supposed to be. She's a great dog. She loves me. Loves me, doesn't she? Yeah, almost as much as this one. So that's Ziva's story. So she's a great dog, and I would hate to have to handle her on 4 legs because she's a lot of dog. So that's her story. We have a loose dog over here. 2 loose dogs. Sorry, 2 German Shepherds. Something like this is a great prime example of what we do for a living, because a lot of owners will have their dogs off leash. Prime example. And a deer comes by, or the dog will catch wind of a cat or something, and they take off. So prime example of lost pet prevention is leash your dogs. Preferably not a retractable leash. Retractable leashes tend to break very easily. If you watch Epic, as you can see here, she's very aware of her surroundings. Her nose is always working. And right now she's eyeballing these 2 dogs. Even if one of them were to take off right now, because it's so recent, she could actually work off of what we call disturbance scent. So I could actually put her where the dog is at and have her sniff the ground and tell her to find it, and she would actually go look for that specific dog. So, which is pretty impressive. A lot of people really crack up when I show up on scene and I bring Epic out. They'll look down at her and they look at me because she's so small, and she'll say, they're like, "That's your search dog?" So it's pretty comical. But you never judge a book by its cover. She's a good little working dog. She taught me everything I know. We do everything from trailing the animals, which is starting off with a scent article, something that smells like the animal, whether it's a cat or dog, and searching for it over various types of terrains, weather, doesn't matter. So we go from trailing to setting traps if we have to, humane traps, ranging from various sizes, from cat sizes up to the larger dog sizes, up to actual 10 by 10 enclosure type traps. With varying trigger systems depending on what's needed with the situation. So as far as actually going on a trail and running behind a dog, it is probably the ultimate experience for me. I love working dogs, but being behind a dog and watching them retrace the steps of a lost animal is absolutely amazing. Once you know your dog and you're able to read your dog, a lot of times I can tell, if the animal's been gone a week or 2 weeks, I can tell if the scent's 2 days old. I can tell if it's a week old, to help build a time frame. Specifically on the last search that we did for Delilah, I had Epic out on the Blue Ridge Parkway. She got missing over at Moses Cone. I don't know if you're familiar with that. But she went missing at Moses Cone. She had a retractable leash on. Again, no retractable leashes. And it broke, and she got loose. She was gone. And she was on the move. And we got called in, and we tracked her for about 8 miles on the Blue Ridge Parkway, over the viaduct. Epic actually built a really good profile on her because you could see Epic, her nose would be to the ground, tracking this dog. And then all of a sudden, her nose would go in the air, and she would find a fence or something to prop up on, and she would key into areas in the woods. So what we learned about Delilah was that she was remaining very shy. She was remaining close enough to human contact to where she still felt connected, but anytime probably a car came by or somebody else was walking on the parkway, she went and got down in the woods. So that actually really helped us in the long run realize that she was still connected and she wasn't quite ready to go what we consider into complete survival mode, which means that she would have been traveling only at night and staying completely away from human contact. So in the long run, after we established that she had probably gone over Grandfather Mountain, which she did, we knew that we had to get signage over on Highway 105, and that's when we started getting more sightings for Delilah. So What Epic actually helped do in that instance was we tracked a certain distance on the parkway, and because it was getting dark and the parkway was shut down, we actually had to hike down from the parkway to 221, which is another highway below the parkway, and had somebody pick us up there. And then we went to the end of the parkway, closer to Moses Cone, where she had originally went missing, just to see if we could pick up scent down there to see if she was backtracking, which a lot of times they will double back on their scent, and stay in the same area. When we got to the end of the parkway, we had a ranger drive us a little bit further up so that we wouldn't have to track the entire time because we were, going against daylight. And there was no scent from where we started to the end of the parkway. So we established the fact that she went over Grandfather Mountain, somewhere in between the area that we stopped, which was Wilson Creek and Green Mountain on the Blue Ridge Parkway. So it was pretty interesting to put all of that together. And eventually we were able to get sightings, like I had mentioned, on 105 and establish the fact that she was hanging out in some abandoned houses, which led us to the trapping. We tried 2 different humane traps. The first one failed. It was a borrowed trap from someone else and just a bad design on the trap. And that one failed. And then Animal Control was kind enough to bring over another trap that we tried, and because she was already trap savvy, that one didn't work either. So we ended up going into an enclosure trap, which was about a 10 by 10. Had a custom door made for it. Took me about 3 weeks, a little less than 3 weeks to catch her, but we eventually did. We used the dogs to help establish a pattern and hot spots where she was hanging out. We found several hot spots where there was heavier scent, which told me that she had bedded down in certain areas. And those are areas in any situation that we will focus on, because that's where the dog has spent a lot of time and hopefully will come back, or a cat, or a goat, whatever the situation might be. So being able to do something that I love so much and turn it into a business has, you can't really ask for much more than that. You can get a hold of us through our website, which is epicanimalrecovery.org, or you can call 704-770-8625.